8:30, and it was the time that we were preparing ourselves to close, and they caused a lot of damage. They beat up the staff, the customers.
Many apologies for that technical hitch. Meanwhile, the Muslim clerics have urged the government to work with NHIF to ensure all COVID-19 patients are equally covered by the medical insurance. The National Muslim COVID-19 Response Committee has supported the government's decision to reopen schools, but has advised that proper mechanisms should be put in place to avoid students contracting and spreading the virus.
Muslim COVID-19 Response Committee has come forward in support of the Ministry of Education, but has cautioned that measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus among the students should be put in place.
Muslims would like to see that children, the decision to reopen the schools does not put any child to any risk of infection. And therefore, all mechanisms must be put in place to ensure the safety of the children and the teachers.
The health specialists and clergy advisors also pleaded with the government to liaise with NHIF to avoid locking out some of the COVID-19 patients.
And you know, the NHIF operates on the principles of pooling resources to manage. Maybe they have found it might not be cost effective to look at that. I think the government should come in and support cases.
Hospitals in the recent weeks have been releasing bodies to the bereaved, but the committee wants the initial directive by the government to carry out supervised burials to be returned. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Joan Kutuny.
Thank you, Jean Kutuny, for that story. Striking Nyamira County medical doctors have threatened to sue their employer for contempt of court and jeopardizing residents' health. Under their union, Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union Nyanza branch, the doctors decried the obtaining situation in the county in the last 56 days. They had been on work boycott. Emmanuel Terer reports.
Addressing the press at a Kisii hotel today, Kevin Osuri, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union branch chairman, has called out the county government for ignoring judgment on the industrial dispute verdict delivered on October 27, 2020 at the Employment and Labor Relations Court in Kisumu.
The county government of Nyamira, especially led by the county secretary who is the head of the public service, James Ntabu, has astonishingly ignored court orders and instead resorted to intimidating and harassing doctors.
According to the doctors, the employer had dismissed the strike as illegal and moved to court instead of engaging the doctors in dialogue, only for the judgment to be ruled in their favor.
That the county government of Nyamira is in fault. They are in total breach of all agreements that we have had with the county government of Nyamira, that is the CBA, and they are also in contravention of the return to work formulas that we have had.
The county government was ordered by Justice Matthews Nduma to honor the remuneration agreement, withdraw disciplinary letters served, and create a conducive environment for the doctors to work in. The union has faulted the governor of Nyamira for letting the people of Nyamira suffer in accessing health services, thus exposing their lives to various ailments and infectious diseases such as coronavirus pandemic.
We are asking the governor of Nyamira County to please step up and take the lives of the people of Nyamira seriously.
The doctors have vowed to press for reverting of health services back to the national government, alleging incompetence on the part of the county government. Emmanuel Terer, Switch TV.
Thank you, Emmanuel Terer. Elsewhere, the Principal Secretary, University Education and Research Ambassador Simon Nabukwasi today gave a keynote address on the ongoing deep dive reforms in the higher education sector in pandemic-affected context. Briefing the media from Mombasa Hotel, the Secretary said virtual learning will help the management of social distancing challenges as well as protecting students from COVID-19. He further said this kind of learning will enable learners from all parts of the country and the world at large to have access to higher learning and make graduation easier.
Kenya, because technology takes its time to be accepted for people to enjoy using it. So there is no form of discrimination because every university I've visited, I've interacted with, they have said in adapting to the new normal, they are using the virtual platforms. I want to assure you that there is nobody who will be disadvantaged because we are encouraging virtual teaching and learning in our country like it's done everywhere. There are countries that even never closed their universities because they had already acclimatized to the custom of virtual teaching and learning.
Have you read the BBI report? Do you know its content? In our special segment tonight, we tear apart the contents of the report and leave you to decide. Our reporter David Kagina kicks us off with the journey of the report since inception. Take a look.
On 9th of March 2018, the country was taken by surprise when two long-term political foes, President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM party leader Raila Odinga, announced a peace deal cemented with the seal of a handshake. A 14-member task force was named on the same day and was later on gazetted on 31st of May 2018 with the mandate to move the country forward economically, politically as well as socially. The task force was comprised of Garissa Senator Mohamed Yusuf Haji, Bishop Lawi Imathiu, Maison Leshomo, James Matundura and Rose Museu. Others in the task force are Agnes Kavindo Mutama, Said Manguni, Bishop Peter Njenga, Archbishop Emeritus Zakia Zokoth, Adams Olo, Busia Senator Amos Wako, Florence Omose, Morompi Oleronke and John Sney, with the joint secretaries being Martin Kimani and Paul Mwangi. From this point, Raila Odinga started supporting the government on many fronts, from the war on corruption to the implementation of the Big Four agenda. And President Uhuru Kenyatta was set to receive a report from the task force mandated to operationalize the reconciliation. The 9-point agenda that the task force was mandated to address was corruption, lack of national ethos, devolution, divisive election, safety and security, responsibilities and rights, inclusivity, shared prosperity, ethnic antagonism, and competition. Earlier this year, the task force collected views from the public and special groups on what will help achieve Build the Bridges, views that were compiled and finally handed over to the president. Recommendations of the report can either be implemented through a policy, parliamentary legislation, or a referendum. Through the parliamentary legislation, the draft bill will only sail through after each House of Parliament has passed it in both the second and third stages of reading, but not less than 2/3 of all members of that House. If the House shoots down the bill, a referendum has to be held. Parliament publicizes the bill for public discussion and later on submits the bill to the President by the House Speakers for assent and gazettement within 30 days. In the second option of a referendum, at least 1 million signatures will have to be collected from registered voters. IEBC will then verify the million signatures before submitting the draft bill to county assemblies for consideration within 3 months. Once the draft bill has been approved by a majority, which is 24 of the county assemblies, it shall then be introduced to Parliament. After the BBI report was released to the public, it's now the responsibility of individual citizens to sit down with the report and decide whether to support it or drop it. But what exactly is contained in the report? Dissecting the BBI here on Switch TV, I'm David Kagina.
Thank you, David Kagina, for helping us understand where the BBI came from and the contents of the BBI. Stay tuned because next on Friday this week, David Kagina will still give you some more of the dissection of the BBI. Have you read the BBI? I'd like to know. What are the contents of the BBI that you understand? SMS us on 111 444 111. Stay tuned. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. has been ranked the best performing senator in the country. This is according to a recent survey by Infotrack Research, while Isiolo's Fatuma Dulo was ranked the best female senator and ranked 6th nationally. Samuel Namukana reports.
Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. has been ranked the best performing senator in the country. This is according to a recent survey by Infotrack Research. Mutula, who is serving his second time in the Senate, scored 66.4%, beating more experienced lawmakers in the country.
In terms of the Infotrack Senate Performance Rating 2019-2020, in the top 15 are number 1, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Senator from Makueni, 66.4%. Member of White Bar Democratic Movement, this is his second term. Number 2, Kipchumba Murkomen of Elgeyo Marakwet.
Elgeyo Marakwet Kipchumba Murkomen scored 58.8%, followed by Samburu Lelegwe Tumbesi, who scored 57.2%, while Kwale Issa Juma got 55.4% and Kakamega's Cleophas Malala 54.8%.
58.8%, Jubilee Party, second term senator. Number 3, Steve Lelegwe from Samburu, 57.2%, Jubilee Party, first term senator. Number 4, Boy Issa Juma of Kwale, 55.4%, ODM, first term. Number 5, Cleophas Malala, Kakamega, 54.8% from ANC, a first term senator.
Isiolo's Fatuma Dulo was ranked the best female senator and ranked 6th nationally. The first-time senator scored 54.6% and was the only female senator in top 15.
Number 6, Fatuma Adan Dulo of Isiolo, with a score of 54.6%. She's independent, first term, and it is important to note that she was the only female senator in the top 15.
The findings released on Wednesday had Tana River Senator Wario Golich Juma as the worst performing senator amongst the 47 elected lawmakers. Wario scored 36.4%. Also, in the last worst performing senators included Wajir's Abdullahi Ibrahim with 39.1%, Nyandarwa's Mwangi Paul Githiomi with 39.8%, Trans Nzoia's Michael Mbitho with 39.9%, and Kajiado's Mpaye Salau with 40.1%. On average, Makueni and Embu MCS also topped the list of the most performing MCS with a tie of 54.2%, while those of Trans Nzoia came last with an average of 39.3%.
Makueni's MCAs were first with 54.2%. There's a tie there actually between Makueni and Embu. So the Makueni and Embu senators were first with a score of 54.2%.
The study was conducted between November 2019 and January 2020. Samuel Namukana, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Samuel Namukana. I'd like to know what you think of your senator's performance. Send in your feedback to our SMS line 111 Still on politics, Burkina Faso's President Christian Kabore has held a campaign rally in the north of the country. This happens as he targets re-election on voting day on 22nd of November this year. Even as jihadist attacks have risen over the last 5 years, leaving more than 1,200 people dead and over 1 million displaced.
Quelques jours après la mise en notre gouvernement,
the first terror attacks left many dead in Ouagadougou a few days after our government was formed, then on our borders, as well as here in the Sahel to the north, to the east, and then in the Boucle-de-Mohand region.
Au nord, à l'est et également à la Boucle-de-Mohand. Le terrorisme a causé beaucoup de dégâts dans notre pays, dégâts humains.
Terrorism has caused much damage in our country, human and material damage as well as an administrative damage, with schools closed.
Well, away from politics, it's time to delve deep into the world of commerce with Clifford Ndubi.
All right, it's time for business. Good evening and welcome. My name is Clifford Ndubi. Now, Kenya's avocado exports have seen remarkable growth as the global demand of the fruit grows. Up to the end of October this year, Kenya exported 68,000 tons of avocado valued at 14 billion shillings, making it Kenya's leading fruit export, accounting for nearly 1/5 of the country's total horticultural export. Our reporter Kennedy Kimani has filed this report.
Avocado farming in Kenya and around the globe is gaining prominence partly because of the nutritious benefits of the fruit. The annual global demand is increasing at a faster rate than the annual global production, resulting in higher prices on the world market. Kenya ranks as one of the largest avocado exporters in the world and has experienced rapid growth in exports over the last decade.
Kenya is a leading exporter of the avocado fruit. We are ranked number 8 in the world at the moment, and in 2019 alone, we were able to export 59,000 tons of avocados, valued at 10.6 billion. However, in 2020, up to the end of October, we have been able to ship 68,000 tons of avocado, valued at 14 billion.
The stakeholders in the horticulture industry have, however, weighed into the Kakuzi case, requesting all players in the sector to cooperate with the investigative body so as to allow the Kenyan judicial system to freely undertake the investigations against the company.
The Kenyan horticulture industry is committed to stand up to key principles of ethical businesses and human rights as laid down by the United Nations and as espoused by the Republic of Kenya.
We are not going to allow any institutions or individuals or NGOs who have selfish interests who come to this country to demonize the Kenyan horticulture industry.
The avocado export market in Kenya is dominated by 5 major exporters: Kakuzi, Veg Pro, Sunripe, Kenya Horticultural Exporters, and East African Growers. Kennedy Kimani, Switch TV.
Thank you, Kennedy Kimani. Elsewhere, private security personnel in the country stand to benefit from a techno-survey system to ease their operations. The techno-survey development will be an innovative digital security solution that will enhance the security of commercial and residential buildings, ostensibly to enable more than 700,000 security officers across the country to play an integral role in the fight against COVID-19. The process of signing hard copy papers and books when entering a building could soon come to an end after the launch of the Hodi Hodi app.
Resident associations have been formed mainly to address issues of security, and most of them come together to ensure that they're able to secure their neighborhood and ensure that they're coming with solutions that are responsive to the members.
Guards no longer need to use the old book and biro to get you inside facility, estate, apartment. Everything is digitized, touchless. We are ensuring the security of the guards, we are ensuring the security of the residents, and that is the way forward.
You actually collect a lot of data. I don't know whether you've imagined the magnitude of data that is within your reach or that you already have, and you probably do not know what to do with it. You collect so much data. And so, and then there are also laws around data protection, all right? Private information protection that you have. You need to cooperate, all right, more tightly with the public sector in keeping this data and also in sharing it.
Away from the security matters now, the National Treasury has released 5 billion shillings for the acquisition of the Nairobi Railways Club. The land space is meant to facilitate construction and expansion of the Uhuru Highway Passenger Terminal that is part of the Nairobi Expressway project. In March, the government gazetted a list of 56 pieces of land to be taken over to aid the project. Finally, let's now take a look at the financial roundup with Joan Kutuni.
Kenya Power recorded a 2.9 billion shillings loss for the financial year 2019-2020. This is according to National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani, who appeared before Parliament attributing it to a drop in demand for consumption of electricity and high cost of power generation from Kenyan. Meanwhile, LG Electronics, in partnership with Opalmet Limited, has opened its fourth brand shop amid a 20% increase in consumer demand attributed to Kenya's increasing preference for use of smart electronics and appliances. And finally, Trustmark Insurance Brokers has been declared and awarded as the overall best intermediary of the year in the 2019 Annual Intermediaries Awards by UAP Insurance Kenya Limited, geared to recognize top intermediaries and take leadership in the market to attract and retain top-performing intermediaries. For Switch TV, my name is Joan Kutun.
All right, the business roundup by John Kutuni definitely brings us to the end of Switch Business News. Let's do this tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless. It's time for sports.
Thank you, Clifford Dubby's night. It's time to get sporty. Harambee Stars international Arnold Origi has urged his teammates to put on a brave face as they face Comoros tonight for their first Africa Cup of Nations qualifier match against Comoros.
And, you just have to face it with all the courage, the confidence and the belief that we can do it, and we can at the end of it all we can come to the African Cup of Nations.
Harambee Stars match against Comoros is ongoing at the Kasarani Stadium.
Feeling of relief.
Radu Albert ended Dennis Shapovalov's dream of finishing the season inside the top 10 of the men's ranking after eliminating him in the second round of the Sofia Open with a 6-2, 6-4 win. Shapovalov, the top seed at an ATP tour for the first time, trying to reach his sixth quarter-final of the season.
Play from Albert to keep that ball as low as he did.
Would you believe it? He equals the best performance of his career here by taking...
International football matches return tonight with Norway versus Israel international friendly cancelled over coronavirus concerns. Norway's public health authorities had originally given the green light for the two to meet at the Ullevål Stadium in Oslo this evening. The fixture was cancelled hours before kickoff. However, most teams in England are back in action. Here are the fixtures. Well, with our sports story now, that sports story wraps up our news broadcast tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Lincoln Wambogwa. Our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithia. Good evening.